feel
You
like
wouldn't
our
believe
chest
the
is
times
sticking
that she
out.
pulls that camera out.
Okay, everybody suck your six packs in.
Because those flags is going to be presented to the Gold Star family when we get to the first stop. Then we're going to put the second flag on, and we're going to present that to the second family.
Matthew grew up farming in Moose Lake, Minnesota. He played football and dreamed of college, having a family when he got older. He had 3,000 reasons for joining up to fight in the service of our country. He was willing to give his life. Heroes come from small towns.
she's saying, I'm gonna catch it. When people do
June?
things, I'll be there to tell
Hey, I'm Rocky.
Hi, how are
It's a
you?
pleasure. John?
Yes.
Sir?
Rocky.
It's a
Just love
long
that.
journey, but he did it.
Well, life is long. And it wasn't really that long, you know.
27
I'm 54 and I don't have any idea where I'm going. You know?
What's my problem? I'm 65 and I still don't know what the hell I'm doing.
So June and John, if you look around here, something happened to Robert. They called his wife a widow. Something happened to her, they called him a widower. I grew up at a place called the Barium Springs Home for Children. They called all of us orphans. Of all the millions of words we have in the English language, all the slangs and tweets and terms, we don't have one word for the loss of a child. We don't have a moniker we give that person. We don't have a name. And maybe that's because there are no words that can go that deep, that can get to where that loss is, because words don't do it. And when there aren't any words, when you don't have words, the only thing left is an action. And sir, ma'am, this is an action. There are people here from all over this country, from all of our chapters. There are people from California, from Oregon, from Minnesota, from Florida, from Illinois, from Tennessee. People that rode their motorcycles, that drove their cars, flew on planes and rented motorcycles. There are many Gold Star mothers and wives and fathers here. All the Gold Stars that are here, would you raise your hands? Kind of move up to the front so they can see them. And we're here to say something to you in a very loud and clear voice. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your certain service to our family and to our nation. We know that every single day is Veterans Day at your house. Every day is Memorial Day. We have some things that we brought we want to give you. Some people want to say some things. Each of our chapters is represented. And then I'm going to talk about Eric. And all these people want to come and show you how much they love you and how much we appreciate our freedoms and how we promise to never forget your loss. Judy DiGiovanni is here from Illinois. She's coming up with Mr. Rose.
Sadly, we have to welcome you into this family, but it's a great family. So Judy has a coin from Illinois. We're representing all the riders that came down here from Illinois. We have people that rode down, people that trailered down, people that flew down.
Judy's a Gold Star mother.
It's fair respects to you.
I'm so sorry.
Judy's a Gold Star mother. Roger and Cindy Caskey lost their son Michael. These are beautiful things that she made for you.
We're so sorry for your loss. So there's one of those for each you, and we'll put all your little treasures off to the side. And then I made these necklaces for you, and I wear my necklace with my son's dog tags when I'm doing tribute things, and it shows that there's love given to you by all these people, and we're here to support you and know that you're not alone.
Thank you, Cindy. Roger's a Vietnam veteran as well.
So am I.
Thank you, sir. Mike Sheets is the president of our Florida chapter. Did you ride up in the sun?
No hurricane to blow me this year.
Rogers rode up in Mike's rode up in 4 different hurricanes. I didn't know if he'd come if it was sunny or not.
You don't know how to ride in the sun, right?
It took me longer.
He followed the clouds, so he always had shade.
I'm gonna ask Robert to come up and join me too. Robert is Gold Star uncle. And you know Robert was from Susan, right? He's on the board of directors in Florida now too. So Florida is our newest chapter. And we are very proud to join the union. Very happy to be on board with Tribute. I've been part of Tribute for a long time. I was a part of Minnesota before moving down, getting smart to get out of the winter. We have days just like this in Florida too. We call them winter. One of the things that's very unique about Tribute, and it's been my honor to be part of it, is that the promise is the same in every chapter with every one of these people, and that is Eric will never be forgotten. And that's true from the Pacific coast to the Atlantic coast in every one of the chapters. And it's also true in Florida. I brought you both a challenge coin from Florida that I want you to have. And when you look at those someday in the future, remember this day and every one of these people from every one of those different locations that have been here today, just to make sure that you know that Eric will never be forgotten and that your family is welcome in any place that we have. Welcome to the Tribute family. Unfortunately, you're part of the Gold Star family, but we're honored to have you as part of our Tribute family, and honored to make sure that Eric will never be forgotten.
Amen.
You're right.
I'm glad you followed the clouds up. Me too.
Many of our riders came from Minnesota on their motorcycles. My friend here is representing the Minnesota chapter.
Oh my goodness.
First of all, I'm so sorry for your loss. I have here a coin. Some call it a challenge coin. I prefer to call it a remembrance coin. So when you look at this, you remember that there's families in Minnesota that love you and will never, ever forget. Speak up. Sorry for your loss. My favorite part.
Hugging guys.
Yeah, we're all huggers. You'll find that out, won't you?
Roxanne's representing the board from North Carolina.
North Carolina.
I have quite a few gifts here. First off, I want to say I'm sorry for your loss, and Eric will not be forgotten. And you might need to hold
I'll help you.
Okay, this is across someone.
Real quick, Roxanne's on our board of directors. Her husband was our ride captain last year, and he died pre-riding the ride last year. We ride in his memory.
Thank you. From the board of directors, we give each one of you a bracelet. And then these are keychains that my daughter made that has the year that Tribute visited you. And then our vice president that passed away last year shortly after my husband started these flags. I am a part of the American flag that has flown over the USA. I can no longer fly the suns and winds have caused me to become tattered and torn. Please display me as a reminder that Eric Hernandez will not be forgotten from Tribute to the Troops, North Carolina.
And we'll hold those for you as well.
You will also be receiving a prayer blanket, but there was a mishap, but I'll send it to you.
We're in North Carolina now.
Statesville.
We're in Andrew, which is between Raleigh and Fayetteville.
Okay. Well, I'll get my y'all's address and get that prayer blanket to y'all.
Our ride captain is Donnie Bradley, and he's accompanied by Sharon, who's on our national board of directors.
Today's a unique day. We started this today. We want you to have this tribute to the troop flag signed by everyone here. We want you to hold this and carry it and know that you've always got a family.
Hi, on behalf of North Carolina and Olive Tribute, we are very sorry for your loss. But we have a plaque. We asked you for a picture a while back, and we have that here, and you're going to see it again. We'll always remember our fallen hero. Tribute to the Troops is honored to present this memorial plaque of distinguished service to the family of Sergeant Eric J. Hernandez in remembrance of his everlasting call to bravery, honor, and sacrifice in the name of country and duty. We realize the hardship that you have endured on behalf of our great nation. We want you to know that the wounds that you continue to carry in your hearts and minds will never be forgotten. Dedicated to the family of Sergeant Eric J. Hernandez from Tribute to the Troops, Saturday, October 12, 2019.
Oh, yeah. Get someone to hold that plaque up so everybody can see it. We'll hold it, John. Eric Hernandez moved at his own pace. He had his own schedule. He was independent and free-spirited. He liked to do things on his own time. He seldom was on anyone else's schedule. And that was from his very birth. June was 10 months pregnant. She was just a few days from the doctors having her induced labor. And she woke up one morning and her water broke. But she still didn't go into labor. She woke up her husband and said, "My water broke. I need to go to the hospital." He got up and got in the car and then he said, "I'm kind of hungry. And you're not really in labor. You're not in pain or anything, are you? You reckon I could get something to eat?" So they stopped at a restaurant. She watched him eat. Maybe that's why he's not here today. Then they got over to the hospital. They didn't park in the emergency room. They parked 2 blocks away. She felt like it'd do good for her to walk. So she walked in the hospital, and the nurse immediately tried to put her in a wheelchair. And she said, "No, I'm fine, I'm fine." They called the doctor, and the doctor showed up, and he said, "Well, I have to tell you, this is going to have to wait 45 minutes because I've got to do a C-section." So June sat down, waited her turn. 45 minutes later, around 9:30 in the morning on July the 6th, 1981, at St. Luke's Hospital in Newberry, New York, Eric Hernandez was born. He weighed 7 pounds and 8 ounces. An independent, young, free-spirited young man. As he began to grow, he had an older sibling. They had friends and they play. And I talked to Miss Ricci, who was one of his friends as a child, and said he had a He-Man toy that he loved. And he loved playing with them. And he was always the young kid trying to keep up with the bigger boys. And he would indeed keep up with them. She said that they would play in the woods. They play Army a lot, oddly enough. They play Army, they play cowboys and Indians. And Eric always insisted on being the good guy. He wanted to be the good guy. And when he was young, he couldn't say his R's right away. And she said he would always be the one that would come and save her when they were playing games. And he would say, "Don't worry, Wobbin. Don't worry, Wobbin. I will come save you." Because he couldn't say his R's. They had a big hill by the side of the house. They'd ride the sled down the hills. They used to enjoy that. They'd spend the summers down at Connie's Pond. As he started school, he made pretty good grades in school, and he did really well. By the time he played baseball and football in middle school, grammar school, by the time he got to West Medford High School, he was on the wrestling team. He made pretty good grades. He never studied though. Never cracked a book. He would pass all the tests and he'd do well. But as I said, Eric did things on his own time. So one day he went by and picked up a GED pamphlet, and he said, "Well, I can pass this." So he quit school, and the next day he passed GED. He was out of school. He joined the United States Army because the events of 2011 affected him and he wanted to serve our country. His MOS was 11 Bravo. His stepfather, a Vietnam veteran. He knows something about a blue cord. He went to basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. He went to advanced infantry training at Fort Benning, Georgia. He went to paratrooper jump school at Fort Benning, Georgia. He scored expert marksman, expert grenade. He was deployed in defense of our nation. While he was in country, he served our nation with duty, with honor, with fidelity, and with valor. He was a man among men. People looked up to him. He went on combat patrols. He went on missions. He spent some time before his first deployment doing a little non-military time, and during that time, he learned how to be a paramedic. So on his first deployment, he was deemed as a medic for the unit. And he didn't really enjoy being a medic because he enjoyed being where the fight was. And when an opening came for sniper school, he volunteered. And not only was he good at it, that was his thing. He liked outdoorsy things. He liked hunting, he liked fishing, he liked being outdoors, he liked archery. He finished second in the northern Iraq U.S. Army sniper school. He was a leader of a group called the Tigers?
Tiger Force.
The Tiger Force. They were elite snipers that provided cover with disengaged suicide bombers from half a mile away. He was part of an RRT. RRT is a rapid response team. What a rapid response team does is when they find something, they need something to do, they call these people that move fast, like the paramedics we have here. And on 12/4/07, they called out a rapid response team because they had found an IED in the road. And one of the tricks these cowards use is they'll put an IED where maybe it'll go off and maybe it'll hit, but also maybe it'll be found. And they have that IED where it's found, and then they call in the response team. And they go to dismantle that, and they were driving to dismantle that IED, and then what they do is they plant another one near it on the way. And they put it down, so maybe it won't go off when a car goes over it or it's not seen, but there'll be someone with a trigger, cell phone, or a cable. And as they went to dismantle that IED, which could have killed civilians, it could have killed children, it could have been cows and shepherds. These cowards don't care who they do. They ran over that IED, it was detonated. Men died. Specialist Yemez lived. He's injured for the rest of his life. He told me, he said, I should have died there, not Eric. Eric Hernandez was born in New York City on his own time. New York State. He played football and baseball and wrestled on the high school wrestling team. He was a sniper. He was a son. He was an infantryman, a paratrooper in the United States Army. And this is his family.
Thank you for your time. Bless you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Bless you so very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sir John. Thank you, Rocky. Welcome home, my friend. Welcome home.
He's got something special for you. We're just starting this year, and he's accompanied with Sharon Clark, who is on our national board. She came all the way from Tennessee.
Thank you, Sarge, for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice of your son. We took this flag today, and this is the first year we're doing this. And everybody signed it at the beginning when it was at Tilly's. We put this on a motorcycle, and we flew it here, and properly folded it in the parking lot. And we present this to you with everybody here that has signed this to remember this day and all these people who love you, and we're here for you.
Hi, I'm Sharon, and we're here to present you with a plaque that honors your hero. We'll always remember our fallen hero. Tribute to the Troops is honored to present this memorial plaque of distinguished service To the family of Staff Sergeant Scott W. Brunckhorst, in remembrance of his everlasting call to bravery, honoring, sacrifice in the name of country and duty. We realize the hardship you have endured on behalf of our great nation. We want you to know that the wounds that you continue to carry in your hearts and minds will never be forgotten. Dedicated to the family of Staff Sergeant Scott W. Brunckhorst, from Tribute to the Troops, Saturday, October 12, 2019.
I'll hold it, Sharon. I'll hold it. Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Scott Brunckhorst comes from a long line of military service. His father served our nation in the Marine Corps. After the Marine Corps, went into the Army. You don't have to redo basic training if you're in the Marine Corps. So he just went from E5 Marine to E5 in the Army. Served our country for 11 years. A highly decorated veteran. His father, Scott's grandfather, served our country in World War II. And his father before him in World War I. His stepmother, Linda, served our country as well. Rick lost her last year. His siblings, his brother. DNA, his DNA was service. His service to our country. That's what flowed through his veins. He was born in Colorado Springs at Penrose Hospital. What year? 1980 what? 1984. So he's my age. No, God, I'm way older than that, aren't I? I was born in 64. He was born in Penrose Hospital at 3:45 in the morning. He weighed 9 pounds. He was 27 inches, 17 inches long. He was a very inquisitive boy. He had to go to Colorado and got him and brought him and raised him by himself for the first several years of his life. He said that Scott was the only kid he had that he'd come out there. If he's working on the cars, Scott wanted to come and see what was going on and hand him his tools, teach him how to work with it. He played with the older boys. Scott always had what I would call a protective and kind of giving spirit. Once he was playing with a bunch of his friends and a bee came flying around them and all the little girls were scared of a bee and he threw his body on top of the bee so that it wouldn't sting them. It's kind of funny if you think about it. He's throwing his body on that bee, right? Not so funny if you think about what happened. That's the kind of person he was. He'd sacrifice himself. By the time he got to Bridgewater Raritan High School, he was playing linebacker on the football team, and he ran relay for the cross country and the 100-yard dash. He played on the defense of the defensive team, and back in they're way better at football now than we were. Do you know that? You know that. I played football. I didn't know. I hiked the ball and hit the guy in front of me. That was my job. I didn't know what else was going on. Well, there was a story a guy told me to play football with Scott. He was a linebacker. This guy came through and the other guy hit him and the ball came loose and landed in Scott's arms. And Scott just stood there. He just standing there and that guy said, "Run!" Scott run, scored a touchdown. But he had service in his blood. Graduated from high school. He made good grades. He had lots of friends. Went into the United States Army. He went to one station unit training in Fort Benning, Georgia. Basic training, advanced infantry training, airborne training. He was stationed to the 2nd of the 508th at Fort Bragg. I think when he got there it was 325. They changed the name a month or two later, if I'm right. I think I am. But it ended up being the 2nd of the 508. Did his first tour of Afghanistan. And during his first tour of Afghanistan, he conducted combat missions. He got promoted to the rank of sergeant. He served our country with honor and loyalty. And he had a moral character that was unbelievable. He had a way with the men that he served. There are many stories of him where the young men, you know, when you go into a downrange, into a combat zone, they load you up with ammunition and MREs and more stuff than you have. And there were times that the guys couldn't even carry their backpacks. Scott would carry them for them. A young man told me that he felt like he was gonna, I'll clean it up a little bit, but soil himself. He said, I couldn't even think, I couldn't breathe. And Scott grabbed him by the shoulders and said, you're gonna be all right. I promise it. Do what I say. I'll get you back. Came back from the first deployment in Afghanistan, and he went to the Warriors Leaders course. Got promoted to staff sergeant. He was a team leader in a weapons unit. And I have a letter from a platoon leader that was another platoon leader. The only thing left is a damn marching band to come up through here. I have a letter here. This is a letter from, he was a first lieutenant that was in another unit that happened to run into Scott. This guy had gone to one of the big military academies, and he was a hard ass, you know. He was like he says it in the letter. I'm just going to read it verbatim because I don't want to screw it up, and this gives an example to the kind of person Scott was. The lieutenant says, they only had limited time at the range. This was at the rifle range or weapons range. He said, I wanted to make sure the time was well spent, so I was in a more serious mood. And Scott was being himself, lighthearted, joking, enthusiastic, yet taking care of his guys and making sure they were doing the right thing. And he says in the letter, I laugh now because that particular day, I'm not sure why, Scott just rubbed me the wrong way. And I remember thinking afterwards, I don't know if I like this guy. That's how he starts his letter. Fast forward them going to Afghanistan the second time. They're in I think they're in the same company, different platoons. And he goes, and make a long story short, he says, our company leadership decided to move Scott from his squad to be my first squad leader. My immediate thought was, oh man, this is the guy I wasn't sure about back home. And then he says, I'll never forget my first mission with him as squad leader. It was an early February nighttime patrol to watch over fields where we believed there might be storages of weapons and explosives. We took myself, my radio operator, and Scott's 6 or 7 soldiers at the time. I was afraid I was going to have to overstep my bounds and manage the patrol myself, simply because I was unsure about Scott. Well, he absolutely blew me away. The moment we left our outpost, he made sure that I knew he had a plan for the route, for the recon, and that he was in absolute control of his squad. He was very professional about his reporting to me and allowing me to do my job, while leaving no doubt in my mind that he was in control of his squad. He led that patrol better than I ever could have. And honestly, it was the first time in my career I stepped back and realized what a competent and aggressive staff sergeant should be. That's what he said. And he goes on to write several more paragraphs of praising Sergeant Scott, talking about how he was the best he'd ever known. During that second combat tour to Afghanistan, it came to be they were in Argon River Valley. It's a little north of Kandahar, flows down all the way into the Helmand. And they were doing home checks. They were had information about people with IEDs. And Sergeant Scott spotted a man off in the distance with a suicide vest on with an IED. He ordered his men to stay put, to get down, to take cover. And he confronted that man. Could have shot him, but that's the difference between us and them. It's a young kid. It's a young man with some crazy idea of what God is. Tried to talk him off the shelf. He went to confront him to maybe find a peaceful resolution. Ultimately, he had to tackle him, and he lost his life there in Afghanistan. He had a wife. Her name's Crystal. The day before was March the 29th, and he had talked to her on the computer and said, I'm just calling to wish you a happy birthday tomorrow. I've got a patrol to go on. Kendall was 3 at the time, the little daughter. The next day, he lost his life in Afghanistan. Crystal was home taking care of household chores when she heard the door knock, and her thought was, my crazy husband sent me flowers on my birthday, all the way from Afghanistan. Her heart leapt up. She went to the door and opened the door, and there were 2 service officers standing there. She was overcome with grief. She knew immediately what it was. She called his father. That's how he found out, on the phone. Scott was born in Colorado Springs, Colorado. He was raised by a single father who had a deep love and abiding affection for our country. He followed in his father's, his grandfather's, and his great-grandfather's footsteps and served our nation in the 82nd Airborne Infantry. As a kid, he jumped on a bee to save his children from getting stung. As a man, he jumped on an IED to save his men from dying. It is because of men like Scott Brunckhorst that we are free. It is because of him that we are standing in this park. And it is because of men like him that we are here to make a vow to his father and to his wife and to his child, who we will set up a college fund for, that we will never forget their sacrifice and their family's sacrifice to our nation. Staff Sergeant Scott Brunckhorst was an infantryman squad leader in the 82nd Airborne Division, and this is his father, airborne all the way.
Thank you. I hope you come with us more. I hope I get to see you. I hope we get to hang out some.
Sounds good to me.
I love you, Rick.
Love you too.
I noticed that. Are you Marlo?
We met one other time.
Yes,
How are you
ma'am.
doing?
It's a pleasure to see you again.
You as well. Thank you guys for doing this. I
Oh, it's
appreciate
our
it.
honor. Is Connie here?
Connie is here, and she is right here. Come here.
Hey, Connie.
This is Rocky Lynn.
What a pleasure to meet you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Liam, sir. I know. I have a daughter. It's hard for me. Marlo and Connie. Yeah. Hello, Angie. It's a pleasure. It's our honor to be here today to pay tribute to your family. If something happened to Paul on the way here, they would call his wife a widow. If something happened to his wife, they would call him a widower. I grew up at a place in Troutman called the Darien Springs Home for Children. They called us orphans. But with all the words in the English language, with all the monikers and names and titles we have no moniker for the loss of a child. Nothing that identifies that. And maybe, Connie, that's because there are no words that can go that deep to that boy that you raised, that boy that you gave the love of flying to, that you taught how to swim, and he took it so far. Maybe nothing goes that far. And when there are no words, the only thing left is an action. And this is an action.
Oh, yes.
There are people here from all over the country, places where tribute to the troops are. There are people from Oregon, from California. People rode their motorcycles from Minnesota, Wisconsin. Jim Beardsley rode 9 hours and 30 minutes in the rain the first day. People rode their motorcycles up from Florida. People came from Tennessee. They came to say one thing to you in a very clear and loud voice. That your father and your family's service to our nation did not go unnoticed. That your service to our nation, your husband's service, as well as yours, that we are grateful for your family's sacrifice. We know that every single day is Veterans Day at this house. Every day is Memorial Day. And we're here to say thank you. We have some things that we have brought that people want to give you. And then I'm going to talk about Paul. I spent about a month learning about him. What a great man. What a great father. What a great human being. It's our pleasure to be here today. This is Mike Sheets. He is the president of our Florida chapter. It never rains in Florida.
It never rains in Southern California.
Oh, wrong song. All right. Gotta keep him around, keep my songs straight. There's a few of us that have made the way up from Florida. I rode too, but this year I actually rode in the sunshine, which is wonderful. This is Robert. He's also on our board of directors. He's Gold Star uncle. As a matter of fact, you know Robert, because the lady behind is the sister. Yeah. We came up, Florida's the newest chapter to Tribute to the Troops, so we've got 5 chapters now. I was part of the Tribute chapter up in Minnesota before we moved down, so we started the Florida chapter. But the great thing about Tribute is the promise that we have in Tribute is the same, whether it's on the Atlantic coast, whether it's on the Pacific coast, no matter what chapter it is. And each person here is part of that promise, and that is to make sure that Paul will never be forgotten. And we're here today as a testament to that promise. Like Rocky said, this is the action. So I'd like to present each of you with a Florida Challenge coin. You can see it's got a little bit of sunshine on it. So when I got one for you too. I just put one whole 4. You're welcome. When you look at that coin sometime in the future, just remember this day and all of these people that came here and will bear the promise that Paul will never be forgotten. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll trade turns.
I'm also known as Susie, I'm Ron's brother. Anybody from this way?
This is wife and daughter and son. Okay, fine. Now you're gonna get hugged by a whole bunch of people. You gotta get used to it. Yeah, a whole wet and salty.
Roger and Cindy Caskey came from up north in Minnesota. Roger's a retired sheriff. And Cindy's a school teacher. Not exactly a school teacher, but she got something to do with school. She does something there.
I go there every day.
She goes there every day and does something. They lost their son, Michael.
It's under one of my layers.
And so,
Where did
there he is. There's a handsome. She has some things she's made for you.
We're so sorry for your loss. What I've done is I've made a few different things, and I'm kind of one of these that I want to make something, I want to do something. I give you some tokens to remember the day and know that there's lots of love that comes with all of us being here for you. The first thing is a keychain, and each of the keychain has 3 charms. The first one is an angel, and think of Paul as the angel by your side. The heart is representing the love that Paul had for you and you had for him. And then the gold star. Gold star means something totally different to military families. And until you experience it and are living it, you don't understand. But as you will see, there's a lot of us here that are Gold Star families, and we're here to support you, and we're here to offer a hug, a lending ear, and there's a lot of love here. The other thing is I've made these hearts. I wear my heart with my son's dog tags, and so I'll let you pick out whichever kind of heart you want, the color, and then you can wear that or display it however you'd like. And just know that tribute came and showered you with love, and you'll have lots of wet hugs today, but it's comforting to know that there's other people to support you.
Thank you for coming so far.
Diane Otto is a Gold Star mother from Minnesota. She's accompanied by Mary Claire, who's also a Gold Star mom, Ben's mama.
First off, I want to say how terribly sorry we are for your loss. It's a pain that never goes away. And you know that. But we're here to support you and love you. And if you ever come to Minnesota, you have family up there too. I wanted you to know that we do have the Midwest covered for you as well as ocean to ocean. We have family everywhere. So please know that we have you covered. From sea to shining sea. And we wanted to give you this to remind you that you have family in Minnesota. And you are more than welcome as a horrible family to belong to, but we're all nice people.
Despite the fact that they look like drum rats right now.
Right.
Is it okay with you if I read it and you stand in front of the mom, I stand in front of the wife, and we give them
Well, just thankful that y'all were able to
I will
get
say
here.
this, I haven't been in North Carolina yet that I haven't gotten wet, so.
It really means a lot to us.
Blake Evans was a young man from Illinois who loved sports and he loved our country. He served our country and he died in service of it. His mother, Judy DiGiovanni, is here. She's accompanied by Greg Rose and Liz Rose, who've been with us from the very beginning.
Sadly, today we welcome you into the tribute family. You became Gold Star family when Paul passed, but today you're part of our tribute family. Judy's the Gold Star mom, of course, from Illinois, and she knows what it's all about more than we do. So we just want to say how sorry we are for your loss. And anytime you're in Illinois, we've got quite a few members here today. So we're sorry for your loss and welcome to our tribute family.
And then on behalf of the Illinois chapter of Tribute to the Troops, we'd like to present you with this coin to let you know that you are always part of our family. Thank you. So much. Thank you so much. So far. I say that to everybody that comes by, but all of you. I hope you well.
This is our 16th year in the country. It's our 8th year in North Carolina. And the rain doesn't deter us at all. We've been in hurricanes, we've been in snow in Minnesota, volcanic ash in Oregon. That's not a joke. Roxanne Woods on our board of directors in North Carolina, her husband was our ride captain. That's what Donnie has done. You've probably seen him slurking around your house at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for the last couple months, finding our way. Bill Wood was a deputy of the Iredell County Sheriff's and rode with us every one of our years. And last year, pre-riding the ride, he was killed when he was hit by a motorcycle. His wife rides her own motorcycle and comes with us now in his memory. That's how dedicated they are, so that you'll know how much Paul and your family means to us.
I truly sorry.
Sorry for your loss.
David I have a couple of crosses that were made by a member of Tribute to the Troops. So when you see it, you'll think of Paul, you'll think of your tribute family. And then from the board of directors, we get a bracelet that shows the Gold Star in North Carolina, to let you know. And then we had a vice president that unfortunately passed away. And when?
July this summer.
Yeah, July this summer. And he started this. It's a plaque. And thank you. It says, I'm a part of the American flag that's flown over the USA. I can no longer fly. The sons and men have caused me to come tattered and torn. Please display me as a reminder that Paul McKell will not be forgotten. Tribute to the troops. And on the back it says this plaque is given in memory of Evan Parton. He was a valuable member of Tribute to the Troops organization. I have one for you, and there's yours. There's your box. Oh, and I'm sorry. This is my daughter, and she makes these Gold Star keychains for the families.
This is Donnie Bradley. He's our ride captain. This is something new we've started doing this year.
We take these flags and we set out when we begin this ride today. Everybody here has signed it and left a note on it. It is a tribute to the troop flags, because we want you to know today is the first day of the rest of our lives together. We're here forever for you. We love you.
Thank you so much.
Tell her that it got ridden on a motorcycle here.
It rode on the motorcycle, so it's a little bit damp, I'm sorry.
You stand in front of Mama, I'll stand in front of Mama. Tribute to the troops. We will always remember our fallen hero. Tribute to the troops is honored to present this memorial plaque of distinguished service to the family of Lieutenant Colonel Paul Michael, in remembrance of his everlasting call to bravery, honor, and sacrifice in the name of country and duty. We realize the hardship that you have endured on behalf of our great nation. We want you to know that the wounds you continue to carry in your hearts and minds will never be forgotten. Dedicated to the family of Lieutenant Colonel Paul Michael from Tribute to the Troops on this day. A man in Oregon makes these plaques by hand. Aren't they beautiful?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I'm going to stand here in the middle with Mama. They'll hold them for you. As y'all know, normally now I would start talking about Paul, and I'd go back to the beginning and I'd go through his childhood, and I'm going to do that quickly, but I wanted to focus and direct your attention to these people that are up here, because Paul's life was his family. He was born in 1969 in July at Edwards Air Force Base. His father served our nation, their family did. They had many duty stations. He was handsome, and he was athletic, and he was smart. By the time he was in the high school, they ended up in Clinton, Tennessee, at Clinton High School, and he was a standout on the swim team in Clinton. He learned how to swim as a kid, and he was their star on the Clinton Dragon swim team to the University of North Carolina, and that's where he went to college, and he was on their swim team. He was a standout there. But the most important thing that happened to Paul in college is that he met Marlo. He met Marlo, and he was in the ROTC program. He was going to be commissioned as an officer. His senior year, they dated. And they decided together, both of them, decided to go on the Air Force journey together. And they both enlisted. Paul graduated and went to flight school. She finished her last year of school. And the next several years was training and deployment. Marlo was sent to Saudi Arabia twice. Paul went to survival school, where they drop you out of a plane in the water. They just do everything, they try everything they can to kill you. And if you don't die, you win. And so,
I move around because depending on how the person.
well, it went nice, didn't it?
Is that okay?
Chelsea? Hi, I'm Rocky.
Nice to meet you.
What a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us today.
I'm glad to have you guys here. Thank you for
Who
coming.
do you have with you today?
Brother Nathan.
Hi, Nathan. How are you? It's a pleasure to meet you, sir.
There's Angela.
Angela?
John.
John. Hey, John. Good to see you.
And then we've got children. So this is Jack, Billy,
Sir.
Addie,
Hi.
Keaton.
Are these your children?
All children. Yeah, all between everybody.
What happened to Ramadi?
So he was there for a week.
Mhm.
He, as far as we know, he was supposed to be out on foot patrol with everybody else, and they pulled him off of foot patrol as putting him up in guard tower just to be a sniper, and he was only there a week before he
And while he was in the tower?
Yeah. They hadn't finished. They were there. It was not set up yet, so they didn't have glass up. They didn't have
Right.
anything. It was everything was.
I've been there, actually.
Yeah.
I've seen the tower.
Mhm.
It's finished now.
Not a lot of good does now. And so, where do you live?
We're in Charlotte.
In Charlotte? Is everybody here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're ready to go.
All right.
I want to say something just real quick. Jeff, we told you.
I told you we'd be back with some friends.
And we didn't say he was going to be wet.
today, right?
Yes, ma'am. And they're all
We've got
That's Nathan, right?
Yes. So thank you.
Hey, everybody. Oh, wow. Come on in if you want to. Come on up. You can probably come around the side here, just a hair. And it'll come in. I'm going to turn these down. Just hang on 1 second. Turn these down just a hair, because that way I won't be so loud. I think it's harder once you've been a sound man not to be a sound man.
That's hard to enjoy it.
It's hard to say, oh, I could fix that. I think I will. All right. No, I'm not.
We got complaints.
Chelsea, thank you for having us today. Nathan, thank you so very much for coming. It is our honor to come here and stand on your porch and honor your brother. What a fantastic, amazing, precocious, odd young man he was. I spent a month researching his life. I talked to people that he worked at the cable company with. I talked to people at Grand Island High School. I talked to friends. I talked to some of his friends in high school. I talked to people in his unit. I talked to people that, he went with the unit that he went with. And I stood in Ramadi where the tower is. This will be my 16th year going to Afghanistan and Iraq at Christmas. And it's because of men like your brother that we are free. People have that kind of gumption. And when I talk about him, I'm going to talk about how brave he must have been, how brave he was to volunteer the way he did. I mean, that takes a different kind of man. From with us today are many other Gold Star sisters and brothers. All the Gold Stars that are here, would you raise your hand? They traveled all the way across this country, Nathan. All the places where tribute to the troops are. Oregon, California, Minnesota. Jim Beardsley rode 15 hours in the rain, 930 miles by himself on his motorcycle. He lost his son BJ. He came for him and he came for you. From Florida, Mike Sheets, his group rode up from Florida. People here from Tennessee. They came here for one reason, to let you know and to let your family and your children know that we realize that every day is Veterans Day in this house. Every day is Memorial Day. And when the world goes away and all the pomp and circumstance and the people have left and you think someone has forgotten, you will always, from this day, know there are people who have not. And we vow to you that we will not ever forget. We are honored to be here today. We have some things that we have made for you. A lot of these people have made things with their own hands and they want to give them to you. Blake Evans was a young man from Illinois. He was a lot like your brother. He was rambunctious. He played football in middle school as well. And in high school he did okay, He got through it. He graduated. He volunteered to serve our nation. He died. His mother, Judy D. Giovanni, was here and she just had to leave, but she was accompanied by Greg and Liz Rose, and they are representing the Blake family from the state of Illinois.
Yeah, we're here representing Illinois, and we're sorry for your loss, and nobody can replace a sibling that you've grown up your whole life with. So all I can say is you're part of the tribute family now, so you have more family members, and we're going to always be here to remember. And when you're in Illinois, remember you have a tribute family, and anybody from the Illinois that's come, you call them, we'll be there to help you, okay? Thank you.
I know.
It's okay. I can change it. Thank you.
Roger and Cindy Caskey live in Chisago, Minnesota. Roger's retired from the sheriff's department, kind of been my mentor as a motorcycle rider for years. I wrote a song about him. I'll play it tonight. They lost their son, Michael. Looks a little bit like yours.
I'm so sorry for your loss. What I've done is I've made a couple things, and the first thing is a keychain for each of you, and each of the keychains have 3 charms, and it has an angel, which would be, it's Benjamin, right? But think of him as now your angel by your side. The heart represents the love that you had for him and he had for you, and then a gold star. A gold star means something different to us when we have any connection with the military. Kids at school think, oh, I got a gold star on my paper. But you think about a gold star, and they gave 100% of everything. And we have a lot of support here with all the gold star families. And so you'll know that we call, the word I have is a word called family. We're friends that became family. And that's what you look at when you find when you have to tribute people around you. So we have these, and then Susan probably will hold them for you. And then my husband's got some here too, but why don't each of you pick out a heart, and I wear my heart with my son's dog tags, and share with siblings. And it's just to represent the love that we're bringing, and we're here to support you.
Thank you very much.
Brian Clark was a lot like Ben. He learned how to fix things with his hands. He was a handy young man. He grew up way north in Minnesota, near New London. I don't remember the name of the town. What's it called? New London? I do remember the name of the town. His mother and father are here, Rick and Tracy Clark. They've ridden with us for years. On one time on the way back from a tribute ride, Rick ran head first into a deer on his motorcycle and did not go down. And I've never heard of that ever again. The deer did not fare so well. But they're here for Ryan, and they're here for Benjamin.
I guess as a father, I look at you two, you remind me of my daughter, and you do remind me of my son. You're about the same height and the same build. And I just want to let you know that Benjamin will not be forgotten across this great country of ours. I know he won't be forgotten in Minnesota because we're there. As we speak out throughout, if we quit saying the name of our fallen, they will be forgotten. And I can guarantee you that Benjamin will not be forgotten. And with that, we're going to give you the challenge coins from Minnesota, honoring the fallen and honoring your Benjamin.
You're the aunt, right?
I'm just like.
Don't forget the wife.
She admitted that in public. We got that on the radio.
How long y'all been married, Nathan?
A year and a half.
A little over a year? Oh yeah, well let's do it.
Yes, we've known each other since.
You just wait.
What's Rocky's mom? So Benjamin rocked the cradle?
Mike Sheets is the president of our Florida chapter. He rode up here on his motorcycle, and he wouldn't have felt at home if it didn't rain a little bit. And this is Robert Earls. He's here with his nephew, James McClamrock. Yeah.
Robert's on our board of directors in Florida too. You adjusted that?
I did.
It's a little loud. Maybe I just talk a lot, or loud. Anyway, both. Thank you for having us today. This means a lot to us as well, and I hope it means as much to you. We want to make sure that that Benjamin is remembered. One of the promises of tribute is that make sure that no one is forgotten, and Benjamin will be remembered. And that's true from Florida, which is our newest chapter, throughout all the U.S., through all of our 5 chapters. I want to give you a Florida challenge coin. You'll notice the yellow, which represents sunshine. But think of that, anytime that you pull that coin out, remember this day. And even though it may not have been the best of weather, all of these people are here today to remember Benjamin, and the promise will be carried in their heart that he carries
Without
on
a
as well. So thank you for having us. It's our honor to be here today.
Thank you. Nice job, Moxley.
And congratulations a year later.
I know. Congratulations. Very happy. I'm looking if y'all know anybody.
You like some short.
And look on the bright side, after hugging all of these wet people that all they have to shower for going to the church.
That's right.
Going to the show tonight.
Here, tall, good-looking young man. Come bring it in, buddy. Okay. And girls, group hug, okay? Here we go. Come on.
I mentioned her. They won't have to shower before the show tonight. They're going to get all cleaned up.
This rain doesn't even slow any of the riders down. We've ridden in the snow up in Minnesota, and volcanic ash in Oregon, and hot hurricanes once. Roxanne Wood's husband, Bill Wood, was an Iredell County sheriff for many years. He was our ride captain, and that's what Donnie, probably seen Donnie slinking around your house for the last month, trying to figure out where to park, making friends with the Vietnam neighbor, and figuring out how to do it safely. Her husband did that for us for years. Last year, on the way pre-riding the ride, he was hit by a car and killed. She's on our board of directors. She rides her own bike as well. And in his memory, she's here for him and with us. We love her.
I love you.
We love you too. Very much. So sorry for your loss. We made you a few things from North Carolina. This is something a lady named Cindy makes. We are going to get you another one of those so you don't. Now these come from the board of directors. And you notice it has the gold star and the North Carolina card. And then we had a vice president that unfortunately died less than a week after my husband's 1-year anniversary. One of his very dear friends, Evan Martin, was the vice president of Tribute to the Troops. And he started this, so this is in memory of him. I am part of the American flag that is flown over the USA. I can no longer fly. The suns and winds have caused me to become tattered and torn. Please display me as a reminder that Benjamin C. Schuester will not be forgotten. Tribute to the troops. And it does have a little thing on the back that says this plaque is given in memory of Evan Martin. He was a valuable member of the Tribute to the Troops.
We'll hold those for you, Nathan. Sure. So.
This is my daughter, and she decided to make keychains for all the Gold Star family members and the year that you were visited.
Thank you.
These bracelets are made of paracord, parachute cord, and there's a Marine here. Chad, where you at, Chad? Here's him. Chad will tell you all about paracord since he's a Marine. I don't have to. Donnie, you go first. This is Donnie Bradley. He's our ride captain. And this is something we just started this year. We're super proud of.
This is our 8th annual. This is our first annual, and it's like Rocky said. We took these flags this morning before we took off on this adventure. And everybody you see has signed this and put their name. So even 10 years from now, you know you still have this family, and we're here. We want you to keep this, fly it, wear it, keep it folded up, whatever you choose. But know in here is all the love that we come with today.
Boy, nice job, Donnie.
This is Sharon Clark. She came from Tennessee, and she's on our National Board of Directors.
Hi, thank you for allowing us to come visit with you today. We have a plaque here in memory of Benjamin, and I'd like to read what it says. We'll always remember our fallen hero. Tribute to the Troops is honored to present this memorial plaque of distinguished service to the family of Private First Class Benjamin Schuester in remembrance of his everlasting call to bravery, honor, and sacrifice in the name of country and duty. We realize the hardship you have endured on behalf of our great nation. We want you to know that the wounds you continue to carry in your hearts and minds will never be forgotten. Dedicated to the family of Private First Class Benjamin Schuester from Tribute to the Troops, Sunday, October 13th, 2019.
Benjamin Schuester was one of a kind. Some people are born with a giving heart. Some people are born with a desire to serve. And some people have both of those. And that's the kind of young man that he was.
Heroes come from small towns, poor kids and class clowns. And everybody knows when push comes to shove, they're the first one in line for the country they love. The cost of freedom is buried in the ground. Heroes come from small towns, all across this nation. They answer the call. There'll be an invitation in heaven for them all. 'Cause heroes come from small towns, poor kids and class clowns. And everybody knows when push comes to shove, they're the first one in line for the country they love. The cost of freedom is buried in the ground. Heroes come from small towns like Fayetteville, North Carolina. Heroes come from small towns like Millers Creek, North Carolina. Heroes come from small towns like Mooresville, North Carolina. Heroes come from small towns. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming this evening. Thank you for being here. Heroes do come from small towns. Like Scott Brunckhorst, like Doc, like James McClamrock. All the folks that went on the ride, raise your hand. How about a hand for our road guards? How many people in this room believe in God? God worked a miracle on the way home this evening. Donnie Bradley, who led our ride from walked us through every bit of it. On the way home to change his clothes was in a rollover motorcycle crash. And he walked away from it. How about a hand for God? 2005 is the first year we went to Iraq and Afghanistan at Christmas time. And we're going to do things a little different this year because we're going to play a lot of those things for you because we want you to see what Scott saw. I played in Ramadi. We want you to see what Joshua saw, what Benjamin saw. So let's pretend for the next few moments that we're all 19 years old again. And it's Christmas Eve. Where should we be, Miss Ralph? Let's be at Camp Sword, where the showers work. Camp Sword's a little concrete building up in Al-Anbar province. The windows are all blown out. 2 stories high. They got two 223 machine guns up on the top. Almost make a whole 360. As we were setting up the little speaker I was going to sing through, they said, you know, the Taliban's right over that hill. We have contact with them every day. Every day, Rick. That didn't happen in Vietnam, did it? Larry? Not every day. He said, they'll hear every word you sing tonight. They'll hear every word that you sing. So here's the deal. You're 19 years old. It's your first year away from home. It's Christmas Eve. Taliban's right over the hill. They snuck in 2 beers for everybody. If you don't drink, your friend had 4. That's how that rolls. Here's what we do. Ain't America beautiful? This place that we call home. Give us your tired, your poor, your yearning to be free forevermore. Ain't America beautiful? Ain't America beautiful? Cities to the farmland, north, south, east, west. From the Rockies to the ocean. Let me ask you a question, Americans. Ain't America? That's pretty good. That is pretty good. But did I say that part, Cal? Did I say that part about being 19 years old? You've had 2 beers, first year away from home, Taliban right over the hill? Or did I accidentally say that we're over at the Brookview Rest Home, hoping that they bring out that red Jell-O and not that green Jell-O, because we don't like that green Jell-O. Is that what I did? I apologize, y'all. It was my mistake. We're here to remember, which is what we're doing for the last 16 years until the day my ass won't crawl on that motorcycle. That's what we're going to do. And we're here to celebrate, because I guarantee you that Ivan and that James and that Dale Beatty, my brother, is standing up there saying, celebrate my life. Celebrate Purple Heart Home. Celebrate our freedoms. Let me ask you a question, folks. Ain't America the best? Ain't America beautiful? This place that we call home. Give us your tired, your poor, your yearning to be free forevermore. Ain't America beautiful? Ain't America must not forget one thing's for sure, Rick, that we're all in this together. One more time, let them hear it in Iran. Ain't America the best? Ain't America beautiful? This place that we call home. Give us your tired, your poor, your yearning to be free forevermore. Ain't America beautiful? Ain't America beautiful? That lady in the harbor with her torch held high, the Mississippi River, and that North Carolina sky. Ain't America beautiful? This place that we call home. Give us your tired, your poor, your yearning to be free forevermore. Ain't America beautiful? Ain't America beautiful? Ain't America beautiful? Ain't America beautiful, Cindy Parton? Ladies and gentlemen, will you welcome the American Legion Honor Guard Post 65 to the stage? How about a hand for them? Come on up. Veterans of the United States military. Many of these men served in Vietnam. We're going to do a special something for all of our Vietnam veterans in here this evening. If you would, guys, make a line up behind me. From New York City, from New York State, part of Rolling Thunder National, the head of national security and his first sergeant. How about the hand, Rolling Thunder guys? Those two, come on. They will be accompanied by Rolling Thunder Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, North Carolina. Please come up. Rolling Thunder, come on. How about a hand for these guys? There are people missing from all wars. It's okay, we'll crowd this stage, come on. These are all veterans and veteran supporters. They're coming up here. Come on. Y'all can take this space up in here too. We're gonna fill the whole thing. Give yourselves enough room because we're gonna do some things. Men and women, for hundreds of years, have volunteered. From the days that Paul Revere rode through the villages saying, "The British are coming. The British are coming." They grabbed their muskets and they walked out and they defended our nation. These Vietnam veterans that are here, they didn't go to Canada, they went to Da Nang. You know why they're up here? They're up here because we have a special person in this audience tonight. So you're hereinafter referred to as detail. You're the detail, okay? Detail, attend, whoop. Parade, whoop. Daniel Reesbane, front and center. Come on, Daniel. Right here. Face these men, stand here. Daniel Reesbane is a senior. No, turn around and face these men. Reesbane. There you go, your other right. Reesbane. How you say it? Reesbane. Say it in English. Brave thing. Well,
Brave
y'all,
thing.
I talk slow enough, y'all would be able to understand what I'm saying.
All right, Daniel, rape time. He's a senior at South Outer High School. He's part of the drill team. They won the national championship this year. How about a hand for him? He's an expert marksman. He goes to rifle competitions and wins all over the country. How about a hand for him? He's going to be joined by his father, Eric, and his mother, Rhonda. They're going to stand on each side. Come on. Eric is a war veteran with a Bronze Star, and she's the mother and the wife. How about a hand for them? Let me tell you why this man is a better man than I'll ever be. Because when I joined the Army, Daniel, it was peacetime. I lived in an orphanage and it was my way off the dirt road. I would love to stand here and say to you I was brave and I was a patriot. It was my only way. I was guaranteed to go to Fort Bragg. You, son, are not. On Tuesday, he goes to Charlotte, North Carolina and takes the vow, the oath of office. You know what his MOS is? 11 Bravo, infantry, airborne, ranger. We salute you. This is my job, this is my life, this is who I am. This is what I do, I'm one of the fortunate few. Cause I follow my heart, and I know what I'm doing is right. I'm proud to be a soldier, to offer my life in this fight for the red, white, and blue. I won't back down, I'll stand my ground along with all the others, my band of brothers. Say it loud, I'm proud to be a soldier. How about a hand for the private? I wear this uniform and stare into the eye of the storm. I'm part of a team that's bigger than me. You are the rocket's red glare. Just me playing, guys, just in case you didn't get it. I wear this uniform and stare into the eye of the storm. I'm part of a team that's bigger than me. You are the rocket's red glare. And this is a family. It always was and always will be. Oh, when I'm far from home, I'm still not alone. And my brothers and sisters are there. I'm proud to be a soldier, to offer my life
of my life in this fight for the red, white, and blue. I won't back down. I'll stand my ground along with all the others. My Panther brothers, say it loud. I'm proud to be a soldier. Say it loud. I'm proud to be a soldier. I'm proud to be a soldier. Detail, Buckhead, hook, present, hook. Order, hook. Thank you, son. We'll pray for you every day. Will we not? Everyone in this room understands what you're doing and how brave it is to sit there in the back of that class and know that you're not guaranteed to go to Fort Bragg. That you could go anywhere in the world, and yet he'll stand in the back of that class at South Iredell High School, just like James McClamrock did, and he'll raise his hand and say, "Send me, I'll go." So how about that? Folks, how about a hand for Daniel? Detail, dismissed. You guys are awesome. Give me a swell, Mark Holland. As they're coming by to say hello to Daniel, I want to tell you what we're doing here. I want to tell you about something else. As they read those names, it brings to light how heavy this toll is. Tribute to the troops goes to KIAs. We go to men that give their lives. We go to people who die while they're in the service, with service-connected accidents or just accidents, because they were brave enough to say, "Send me, I'll go." We go to people who lose their battle with PTSD. Kimberly Dawn Hunter, Noah Pierce. And we say to their families, we will not forget. We will never, ever forget. We will never say goodbye. These is for the 22 a day. It's good to see you. It's been way too long. Let's have a glass of your mama's sweet tea, and I'll tell you what's been going on. It seems like only yesterday we were Raiders in North Idaho High. So here's to you and the memory. May we never say goodbye. We say so long. Adios, mi amigo. Wish you well till the next time I see you. Here's to you. Let's raise our glasses high. Farewell, my friend. Bye, adios, until we meet again in another place and time. May we never say goodbye. Spirits on the wing. Sometimes we just pass on by. Sometimes a little mean, like a picture postcard memory that takes you back in time. We might go our separate ways, but we never say goodbye. We say so long, adios, mi amigo. Wish you well till the say so long, adios to you, amigo. Well, till the next time I see you, here's to you. Let's raise our glasses high. Farewell, my friend, goodbye, your dears, until we meet again in another place and time. May we never say goodbye. I'll see you on the other side. See you on the other side. Never say goodbye. Never say goodbye. Never say goodbye. Never say goodbye. Never say goodbye to Jesse Howard. Never say goodbye. Never say goodbye to Kimberly Dawn Hunter. Never say goodbye to Noah Pierce. Never say goodbye to Dennis Klein.
thank you for coming. Thank you for coming and being a part of Tribute to the Troops. I want to thank you from the very bottom of my heart. How many folks, this is the first time they've came to a tribute event? My goodness. I tell people it's the worst possible way to meet the best people in the whole world. Amanda and Leon, I'm going to tell you one more story before we go. It was 2003. Remember that song that we did at the very beginning, Home? I wrote that song when I got deployed to Nicaragua. My friend got killed. Come on. Thank you, sir. But I don't talk about it because I can't control myself when I do. And I was just a kid, but I would write songs. That's what I did back then, too. And I wrote that song for him. And every time that I play somewhere, because I got out of the Army, I moved to California. I was going to be Eddie Van Halen. Except taller and more handsome. And I actually got several auditions for some big rock bands, and I came this close to getting a really big famous rock band. And it was down to me and one other fella. He came in drunk. I played way better. I'm not bragging because I don't think I'm a good guitar player. I'm learning. And I walked out of there and said, I got this. I'm gonna get it, because I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I didn't do any drugs. I do all that stuff now. I didn't do any of it. I didn't do any of it then. And I didn't get the gig. And I thought, how come I didn't get that gig? It's because I didn't do any of that stuff. I wasn't a good hang. And I talked like this. So I moved to Nashville. I was gonna be Tim McGraw. Except taller, more handsome. Currently, I'm shooting for Willie Nelson. I got a shot at Willie. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Every time I was allowed to sing with one of the bands I was in, I'd sing that song for my friend. And then this friend of mine made a video of it, and he showed soldiers doing soldier things. And then in the chorus, he showed the pictures of all the people from our state that had died. And it was powerful, and that's how Tribute started. I saw that video and I said, I want to take this and show it to these mamas. And it was really that simple. Myself and 20 of my friends got on motorcycles, and we went to Joshua Anderson's house, Sergeant Anderson. The very first house, and when we got off the motorcycle, there was like a fence around the yard. We parked around the fence. They knew we were coming. I called them. There was a mama, and then his wife, Hannah, and then another gentleman. And we're walking up to the house, and this little girl, she must have been this big, her name was Savannah, poked her head out from behind her mama's leg. And I remember, as sure as I'm looking at you, what I thought. I said, oh God, please God, let that not be his daughter. But of course it was. And as we walked back to the motorcycles, I said, you know, if anybody ever gives us any money, or anything ever happens, we should do something to help that child, or any of these children. And if you notice, we don't charge for the ride. We don't charge for the event or anything. But sometimes people donate money in those envelopes and send it to us. Sometimes they buy songs for soldiers. And all that money goes into an education fund. And thanks to you, over the last 16 years, we've set up 65 college educations for those children. did it. Thank you. One of the families that we visited sent that song and that video to Donald Rumsfeld. You know, you all old enough to remember who he is, are you? He was the Secretary of Defense. And so, she don't remember who Donald Rumsfeld is. How old am I? Old. So I'm sitting at my house, it was 2003, and the telephone rings. And this man says on the other line, he says, "Hello, I'm Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretary of Defense." That's what he says. Sadly, Rebecca, I said, "Well, I'm the Queen of England," and I hung up. I hung up on the Secretary of Defense. I thought it was somebody playing a trick on me. Don't think they don't play tricks on me. So directly the phone rang back. And this lady was on the line and she said, "My name is Linda Kasarian. I'm Director of Affairs at the Pentagon. Please don't hang up on me." And then she put Mr. Rumsfeld on the line and he said, "I'm looking at this song that somebody sent me. And we're starting a program called America Supports You. And we think it could be our theme song. It'd be played at every memorial service in Iraq and Afghanistan. We'll play it at the White House. You'll come and sing it at the kickoff. The kickoff will be in the square at the Pentagon. And every year you'll come to D.C. and sing it on Memorial Day. But there's always a but in the government, right? Sometimes a big one. No comment. He said, but in the second verse, where the soldiers are afraid and they're not sure that they want to be there, could you change that? Because we want it to be all positive, all very upbeat. I didn't even have to think about it. I said, no. I can't change one word of that song. Because on that mountaintop in Nicaragua, we were afraid. I bet you on that boat in Vietnam, you were afraid. I bet there were times in Vietnam that you were afraid. And I guarantee you that Scott Brunckhorst was afraid when he tackled that man and saved those men. And I'll be damned if I'll change a word. So I said, what's your program about? And he said, well, we want what happened to our Vietnam veterans to never happen again. And this is going to be a prolonged conflict. So we want people, regardless of what they think of the mission or the war or their politics or their race or their religion or their socioeconomic background, whatever that is. I bet if you met a man with a master's degree in neuroscience, he'd know what that means. Regardless of what they think of that they support our men and women in uniform. I said, oh, I'll write you that song. He told me later that he never expected to hear from me again. But there were two things that Secretary Rumsfeld didn't know. Because you see, I think songwriting's like farming. I do. When I'm playing guitar and piano and I'm just practicing, I'm planting seeds. And if God makes it rain, something might grow. He didn't know, one, that I had a recording studio in my basement. And that two, God was about to make it rain. So I sat down on my couch and I turned on my cassette recorder. And I'll be glad to tell her what a cassette is when we're done. And however long this song is how long it takes to write. So I'll take credit for the rest of the ones y'all heard tonight. But I think God wrote this one. He probably wrote them other ones too, just lets me think I did it. And I went down to my basement, I recorded it. went to the post office. Nope, I went to the Federal Express at Walmart, and I mailed it Federal Express to Donald Rumsfeld, Secretary of Defense, $10.75. He never paid me back. And I can't really say that anymore because last year after this event, some man came to me and gave me $10.75. He said, would you please shut up about that $10.75?
Is that adjusted for inflation?
Well, I just quoted my dad and I said, I'm on a fixed income. We've sung it at the White House for every president since Bush Sr. and his wife, Bush Jr. and his wife, Mr. and Mrs. Clinton. We've sung it for Mr. and Mrs. Obama. We've sung it for Mr. and Mrs. Trump. We've sung it at the Vietnam Wall every year on Memorial Day. We've sung it in New York City, Veterans Day Parade. We've sung it on Good Morning America, Fox News, David Letterman. And I've went overseas and I've stood in places where they played it. In Aran Grove River Valley, in Ramadi, in Kandahar. And I hope it don't sound like I'm bragging, because that's not why I'm telling you that. I'm not saying that to say, oh, look at what I did. I'm not doing that. I'm saying that to say to you, Liam, that there's no place that Dalen and June, and Doug and Mark and Dirk, Hoss, Scott, Douglas, my family, Cody, Casey, Mark, all these people, Mark Dorn, our new light guy. We love Casey. There's no place we would rather be than right here at this moment singing for you. Well, they come from every corner of our country. The cities, the mountains, and the farms. Modern day men and women, like our heroes from the past. Whenever we need them, all we have to do is ask. They're Christian, they're Muslim, they're Jew, but they're all red, white, and blue. Sacrificing the family and friends for the country and the freedom they defend, giving everything they got. Some have had to give it all. The black man, the white man, and the Sioux. The middle class, the poor, and the well-to-do. They're all red, white, and blue. When their duty calls them to stand guard and patrol, they represent with honor the battle
all red, white, and blue. Like me, God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean wide with foam. God bless America, our sweet home. From the mountains to the prairies, from the ocean wide with foam. God bless America, our sweet home. From mountains to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, our sweet home. God bless America. God bless you, Amanda and Liam, all of our Gold Star families. Welcome to the family. Thank you for your children and your husbands and your wives and your mothers and your fathers that gave us our home. Sweet, oh say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? God bless y'all.